What if the reason people don't respect you has nothing to do with your intelligence, your talent, or your hard work, but with one invisible rule you break every single day without even realizing it? Think about that for a moment. Have you ever noticed how some people walk into a room and instantly command respect? They don't shout, they don't brag, they don't try to prove themselves, yet everyone listens when they speak. People trust them. People value their words. And then there are others who work harder, speak louder, explain more, but somehow they are ignored, interrupted, or taken lightly. Why? The difference is not power, it is not status, it is not even confidence. The difference is one simple rule, a golden rule. A rule so powerful that when you live by it, people naturally respect you. And when you break it, even the people who love you slowly begin to lose respect for you. Here is the rule. Stop trying to be impressive and start trying to be consistent. Most people believe respect comes from being extraordinary, from saying the smartest thing in the room, from proving they are right, from showing how much they know. But real respect is not built in moments of brilliance. It is built in patterns. Let me explain. Imagine you meet someone who promises big things. They talk about their goals. They talk about their plans. They talk about what they will do tomorrow, next week, next year. At first, you are impressed. But then something happens. Tomorrow comes and nothing happens. Next week comes and nothing changes. Next year comes and the same promises are repeated again. Slowly, without saying it out loud, your mind makes a decision. You stop believing them. Now imagine another person. This person does not talk much. They don't make dramatic promises. They simply say one small thing. I'll handle it. And then they do. The next time they say it again. I'll take care of it. Week after week, week after month. No noise, no drama, just quiet consistency. Something powerful begins to happen. You start trusting them, not because they are perfect, but because they are reliable. And reliability is the foundation of respect. People don't respect the loudest voice. They respect the most dependable one. This is the golden rule most people ignore. They chase attention instead of trust. They try to look impressive instead of becoming dependable. But the people who truly earn respect understand something deeper. Respect is not something you demand. It is something you demonstrate again and again until the world cannot deny it. And once you understand this rule, everything about the way you show up in life begins to change. Have you ever wondered why some people can speak only a few words, and everyone listens carefully, while others talk for hours and still feel invisible? It's not about who talks more, it's about who people believe. Respect is never built on words alone. Words are easy. Anyone can promise, anyone can explain, anyone can say they care, say they will change, say they will try harder. But the human brain has a very simple system. It doesn't measure what you say, it measures what you repeatedly do. And once people notice a gap between your words and your actions, something very important begins to break. Trust. Let me tell you a simple story. Imagine a leader in a small company. Every Monday morning he gathers his team and gives an inspiring speech. He talks about teamwork, discipline, responsibility, and respect. His words sound powerful. His message sounds right. But then Tuesday arrives, he shows up late. On Wednesday he misses a meeting. On Thursday he blames someone else when things go wrong. Now think about what the team feels. Do they remember the speech? No. They remember the behavior, because people don't follow speeches. They follow patterns. Now imagine a different leader. This person doesn't give long speeches. In fact, sometimes he says very little. But every day he arrives early. Every promise he makes is kept. Every mistake he makes he admits openly. Something subtle begins to happen. People begin to trust him, not because he asked for respect, but because his actions made respect inevitable. This is the moment most people misunderstand respect. They think respect comes from authority, from titles, from experience, from intelligence. But real respect comes from alignment. Alignment between what you say and what you do. When those two things match, people feel safe around you. They feel they understand you. They know what to expect from you. And predictability creates trust. Now here is the uncomfortable truth. Many people lose respect not because they are bad people, but because they are inconsistent people. One day they are disciplined. The next day they disappear. One day they promise commitment. The next day they lose focus. One day they speak about values. The next day they compromise those values. Each small inconsistency may seem harmless in the moment, but over time those small cracks become something bigger. Doubt. And once doubt enters someone's mind, respect begins to fade. The golden rule of respect is simple but difficult. Say less, do more. Not once, not twice, but consistently enough that people begin to see a pattern in your character. Because character is not built in a single decision. Character is revealed through repetition. And when people see that repetition, something powerful happens. They stop questioning your words. They start believing them. But there is an even deeper level to this rule, a level that most people completely ignore. And once you understand it, you will realize that consistency is not just about actions. It is about identity. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. Have you ever promised yourself you would change, and then quietly broke that promise when nobody was watching? Maybe you said you would wake up early. Maybe you said you would stay disciplined. Maybe you said you would stop procrastinating. Stop making excuses, stop settling for less. And in that moment, you meant it. But then life happened. You got tired, you got distracted, you told yourself you would start tomorrow instead. Here is the truth most people never talk about. Every time you break a promise to yourself, something inside you begins to weaken, your self-trust. And when you stop trusting yourself, something very subtle begins to show up in the way you move through the world. Your voice becomes less certain, your decisions become slower, your energy becomes hesitant. People may not know exactly why, but they can feel it. Because respect from others always begins with respect for yourself. The golden rule of respect is not just about keeping promises to others. It starts with keeping promises to yourself. Think about the people you respect the most in life. Maybe it's a mentor, a leader, a parent, or someone you admire from a distance. What makes them different? It's not perfection. It's integrity. Integrity means your actions match your values even when no one is watching. It means you do the hard thing not because someone told you to, but because you told yourself you would. And that kind of discipline creates a powerful identity. Let me share a simple example. Imagine two people who both say they want to become healthier. The first person talks about it constantly. They tell friends about their new plan. They watch motivational videos. They imagine how great it will feel. But their actions are inconsistent. Some days they try. Some days they quit. Some days they restart again. Now imagine the second person. This person says almost nothing. But every morning they wake up and go for a walk. Not because they feel motivated, not because they feel excited, but because they made a commitment day after day, week after week, month after month. Something begins to change. At first, the change is physical. Their body becomes stronger. But something deeper is happening internally. They begin to trust themselves. When they say they will do something, they do it. And that quiet self-trust creates a different kind of presence, a different kind of confidence. Not loud confidence, solid confidence. And people around them begin to notice. They start believing this person's words more. They take this person's ideas more seriously. They naturally give this person more respect because consistency builds identity. And identity is powerful. When people see someone who lives by their values repeatedly, they stop seeing individual actions. They start seeing character. But here is the deeper truth. Character is not something you announce. It is something people discover over time. And the moment people discover it, respect stops being something you chase. It becomes something that follows you everywhere you go. Let me tell you something most people learn far too late in life. Respect is not destroyed in one big moment. It disappears slowly in small, almost invisible decisions. A missed commitment here. A broken promise there. A moment where you choose comfort instead of responsibility. Each one feels small. Each one seems harmless. But people are always watching patterns, and patterns create reputation. Imagine someone who says they value honesty. But when a mistake happens, they immediately blame someone else. Maybe they do it once and people ignore it. Maybe they do it twice and people give them the benefit of the doubt. But if it keeps happening, something changes. People stop trusting their words, not because they hate them, but because their behavior tells a different story. This is the dangerous part about losing respect. It rarely comes with a warning. No one gathers in a meeting and announces that they no longer respect you. No one sends a message explaining the moment it disappeared. It simply fades. People stop asking for your opinion. They stop trusting you with responsibility. They listen politely, but they no longer follow your lead. And the person losing respect often has no idea why it happened. They think people are jealous. They think people misunderstand them. They think others are the problem. But the truth is usually much simpler. Respect faded because consistency faded. Now here is the powerful shift. If respect can slowly disappear through small negative patterns, it can also slowly grow through small positive patterns. Think about someone who always does what they say. If they promise to call, they call. If they promise to help, they help. If they make a mistake, they admit it without excuses. At first, people may not notice anything special. But over time, a reputation begins to form. When this person speaks, people listen more carefully. When they commit to something, people relax because they know it will get done. This kind of respect is incredibly powerful because it is earned quietly. No marketing, no self-promotion. Just behavior repeated long enough to become identity. And once that identity forms, something interesting happens. People begin to expect reliability from you. They begin to trust your judgment. They begin to value your presence in important situations. Not because you demanded respect, but because your consistency made you dependable. This is why the golden rule is so simple and so difficult at the same time. Be the same person on your hardest day as you are on your best day. Anyone can show discipline when they feel motivated. Anyone can show kindness when things are easy. Anyone can show confidence when life is going well. But real character shows up when things are uncomfortable. When you are tired, when you are frustrated, when keeping your word requires sacrifice. Those are the moments that build real respect. Because in those moments, people see something deeper than talent or intelligence. They see reliability under pressure. And reliability under pressure is one of the rarest qualities in the world. Let's talk about a moment that reveals the true test of respect: pressure. Anyone can appear reliable when life is easy. Anyone can look disciplined when everything is going according to plan. But the real question is what happens when things start falling apart, when the deadline is close, when the stress is high, when the outcome is uncertain. That is the moment people discover who you really are. Think about a time when a team was facing a serious problem. Maybe a project was failing. Maybe something unexpected went wrong. Everyone in the room felt the pressure rising. In moments like that, two kinds of people usually appear. The first type begins looking for escape. They start explaining why the problem isn't their fault. They defend themselves. They point to circumstances, to other people, to anything that protects their image. And in the moment, it might seem like a smart move. Maybe they avoid blame. Maybe they protect their reputation for a short time. But something deeper happens in the minds of the people watching. Trust begins to drop. Because when pressure reveals defensiveness, people quietly decide that this person cannot be relied on when things become difficult. Now imagine the second type of person in that same room. When the problem appears, they don't panic. They don't look for someone to blame. They simply lean forward and say something very simple. All right, let's fix it. No drama, no excuses, just responsibility. Something powerful happens when people see that response. The energy in the room begins to shift. Stress starts turning into focus. People feel calmer because someone is choosing ownership instead of avoidance. And that moment creates respect, not because the person is perfect, but because they are dependable when it matters most. You see, the golden rule of respect becomes most visible under pressure. Anyone can keep their word when it is convenient. Anyone can stay positive when everything is easy. But the people who truly earn respect are the ones who stay consistent when the situation becomes uncomfortable. They keep their promises even when it costs them time, energy, or pride. They tell the truth even when it would be easier to hide it. They show up even when they feel exhausted. And over time, those repeated choices create something incredibly rare: credibility. Credibility means people believe you before you even speak. They trust your judgment before you explain it. They feel confident standing beside you because your past behavior has already proven your character. And that kind of trust cannot be manufactured. It cannot be demanded. It can only be built through consistent action over long periods of time. But here is something even more interesting. The people who earn the deepest respect are not the ones who never fail. They're the ones who respond to failure in a completely different way. Because failure, just like pressure, reveals something about who you really are. And how you handle that moment will either strengthen the respect people have for you or quietly begin to destroy it. Failure is one of the most powerful moments in the journey of respect, not success, not talent, not even intelligence. Failure. Because failure removes the mask, it strips away the image people try to maintain and reveals something deeper character. Most people believe respect comes from always being right. They think if they admit mistakes, people will see them as weak. So when failure happens, they react in a predictable way. They hide it. They explain it away. They pretend it didn't happen. Or worse, they quietly blame someone else. And in the short term, this might feel like protection. It might save their ego for the moment. But the people around them are paying close attention. Because humans are incredibly good at detecting authenticity. When someone refuses to admit mistakes, people don't see strength, they see insecurity. But when someone handles failure with honesty, something surprising happens. Respect grows. Imagine a leader standing in front of their team after something went wrong. The project failed. The result wasn't what anyone expected. Everyone in the room feels the disappointment. Now imagine that leader saying something simple. This was my responsibility. I made a mistake. Let's learn from it and fix it together. That moment changes everything. The room becomes lighter. The tension disappears. People stop worrying about protecting themselves and start focusing on solutions. Why? Because honesty creates psychological safety, and psychological safety creates trust. When people feel safe telling the truth, teams become stronger. Conversations become more open. Problems get solved faster because no one is wasting energy hiding reality. This is one of the most misunderstood truths about respect. People do not respect perfection. They respect accountability. Perfection feels distant. It feels unrealistic. It feels like a performance. Accountability feels human. It tells people that even when things go wrong, this person will face reality instead of avoiding it. And that behavior builds credibility faster than almost anything else. Think about the people you trust the most. Chances are they are not flawless. They have made mistakes. They have had failures. But when those moments happened, they faced them directly. They didn't run. They didn't lie. They didn't pretend. They took responsibility. And responsibility is magnetic. It pulls respect towards you because it shows maturity, courage, and integrity all at the same time. But there is an even deeper layer to the golden rule of respect. Consistency is not only about keeping promises or admitting mistakes. It is also about how you treat people, especially the people who cannot give you anything in return, because the way you treat those people reveals the most honest version of your character. And once people notice that pattern, they make a very important decision about you, a decision that will follow you everywhere you go. Here's a truth that most people ignore because it feels uncomfortable. Respect is not only earned in moments of action or accountability. It is earned in how you treat people when no one is watching, and especially how you treat people who can't help you. Think about it for a moment. Everyone can be polite to someone powerful, someone who can benefit them. Everyone can smile, nod, and be agreeable when there's something in it for them. That's easy. That's expected. But true respect reveals itself in moments where there is no advantage, no gain, no audience. It appears when you treat the janitor with the same courtesy as the CEO, when you respond to a stranger with patience instead of irritation, when you honor commitments to people who cannot reward you in return. Here's a story to make it clear. There was a young manager at a company who wanted to earn a reputation fast. He made sure to impress his boss, always contributed big ideas in meetings, and never missed an opportunity to show off his knowledge. Everyone knew his name, everyone saw his effort, yet somehow people didn't truly respect him. Why? Because in everyday moments he ignored the assistants, belittled his peers quietly, and rarely acknowledged the small contributions that kept the company running. People noticed. Slowly they stopped trusting him. Slowly they stopped listening. His words became hollow because his behavior didn't match the values he preached. Now compare that to a leader who quietly does the opposite. This person may not dominate meetings or seek attention, but they notice the small things. They greet the receptionist by name. They ask how the intern is doing. They follow through with the little promises others might forget. Over time, people notice. Respect builds silently, almost invisibly, until one day, everyone in the room instinctively looks to that person for guidance. That is the power of the golden rule. It's not flashy. It's not loud. It's not about impressing others. It's about demonstrating respect consistently. In every small interaction, in every unseen moment, every day. The people who truly command respect don't do it through status, authority, or self-promotion. They do it through patterns of integrity, humility, and genuine care. And here's the secret most people miss once you understand this. Your influence doesn't require effort. It flows naturally because respect is no longer something you ask for. It becomes something people give freely. Because your actions prove that you are trustworthy, reliable, and honorable in every situation with every person. This is the hidden rule most people never realize, but it determines everything about how the world responds to you. Respect follows action, not words, not titles, only action. Here's something most people never admit aloud. Respect is not only earned through what you do, but also through how you respond when others test you. Life will test you constantly. People will challenge your ideas, push your boundaries, and question your intentions. Some of these challenges are fair, some are petty, some are outright unfair. How you respond in those moments determines whether people respect you or quietly begin to doubt you. Imagine a colleague challenges your idea in a meeting. Most people react instinctively. They become defensive. They argue louder. They try to prove they are right, sometimes at the expense of relationships. And in the moment, it may feel like they are defending themselves. But here's the catch: defensiveness rarely earns respect. It only signals insecurity. Now imagine a different response. You listen carefully. You acknowledge the concern. You respond calmly, without ego, and provide clarity where necessary. Even if your idea isn't accepted immediately, the room notices something critical. They notice composure. They notice maturity. They notice someone who can handle confrontation without crumbling. Respect is built in these small moments of emotional control over and over again. People watch, even when you think they are not paying attention. They remember how you made them feel during challenges. Did you make them feel dismissed, threatened, or did you make them feel heard and valued, even when disagreeing? Let me give you a story to illustrate this. There was a leader who often faced heated debates in his team. His natural tendency could have been to assert dominance, speak first, and silence dissent. But he chose another path. He waited. He listened. He asked thoughtful questions. And when he responded, he did so without aggression. Slowly, the team began to trust him, not because he was the loudest voice or had the most authority, but because he demonstrated self-control and integrity consistently. This principle extends far beyond meetings. It applies to every social interaction, from family disagreements to business negotiations. Every time you respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively, you are reinforcing a pattern that says, I am someone you can rely on. I am someone worthy of respect. The golden rule is deceptively simple. People respect who they can trust, not who they fear. People respect composure over volume, integrity over cleverness, consistency over occasional brilliance. And here's the truth: few people realize you cannot fake this. Respect built on pretense is temporary. Respect built on repeated, thoughtful, calm action becomes permanent. The world doesn't reward ego, it rewards reliability. It rewards emotional intelligence. It rewards the person whose actions match their values, even when it's hard, even when no one is watching, even under pressure. This is the moment you realize that respect isn't given lightly. It's earned in quiet, consistent, deliberate ways. Here's a truth that will change how you see every relationship, every team, every interaction in your life. Respect is amplified not just by what you do, but by what you allow. Think about it. People often misunderstand respect as a tool to be demanded or defended. They believe that by asserting authority, pointing out mistakes, or highlighting superiority, respect will follow. But that approach always backfires. It creates compliance, not respect. It creates fear, not trust. True respect comes from creating space for others, from giving people the freedom to be themselves, to speak honestly, to contribute fully without fear of judgment. When you allow others to show up fully without controlling or micromanaging, you earn a kind of respect that is almost magnetic. Let me give you an example. Imagine a manager who constantly interrupts their team, corrects minor mistakes publicly, and insists that every idea goes through them before action. On paper, this manager is powerful. On paper, this manager has control. But in reality, the team stops sharing ideas, the energy drains. The respect diminishes silently. People may obey, but they don't follow willingly. Now consider another leader. This leader listens deeply, asks questions instead of giving orders, and allows the team to take ownership of outcomes, even if mistakes happen along the way. The leader guides rather than controls. Slowly, the team grows confident. They take initiative. They trust this person. And most importantly, They respect this person not out of fear, but because they feel valued and empowered. This is the golden rule in action. Respect grows when you give it, when you create trust, safety, and space for others to show their best selves. It's counterintuitive because most people think controlling or proving dominance earns respect. In reality, that strategy destroys it. And here's the subtle part most people miss. This doesn't mean you are weak. It doesn't mean you allow disrespect. It means you show strength through patience, empathy, and consistency. You demonstrate that your values and your actions are unwavering, even when others test you. Every interaction becomes a test of character. Every decision about how much control to exert, how much patience to show, how much trust to give, these are the moments that define whether people respect you long term. The irony is simple. The more you give respect, trust, and space, the more respect you receive. The more you control, dominate, or demand, the more resistance and doubt you create. Respect is not a battle to win. It's a garden to cultivate. And the golden rule is your seed: consistency, integrity, accountability, and empowerment, not just in grand gestures, but in the quiet, repeated choices that reveal who you truly are. When you understand this, you realize that respect doesn't follow power, it follows principle. Here's the final truth that ties everything together. The most powerful form of respect is invisible until it's undeniable. By now, you've seen the pattern. Respect is built quietly through repeated actions that demonstrate integrity, reliability, and consistency. It is earned in moments of pressure, in how you treat those who cannot benefit you, in how you respond to failure, and in how you empower others to be their best selves. But there's one last layer most people never notice. It's the way respect compounds over time. Every choice you make, every promise you keep, every act of honesty, accountability, and patience, it adds up. Slowly at first, almost imperceptibly, people begin to notice patterns. Patterns become trust. Trust becomes admiration. Admiration becomes influence. And influence, real, authentic influence, is the natural outcome of unwavering respect. Let me share a story. There was a person who spent years quietly doing the right things. They didn't seek recognition. They didn't push themselves forward. They just acted consistently, responsibly, and honestly day after day. At first, very few people noticed. But over time, their reputation grew. People began to seek their advice, to follow their guidance, and to trust their judgment without hesitation. Eventually, their presence alone carried weight, not because of their title, position, or words, but because of the invisible trust they had cultivated through decades of consistent action. This is the hidden power of respect. It is invisible until it becomes undeniable. And here's the ultimate insight. The golden rule isn't just about actions, it's about identity. Who you are becomes clear not through a single choice, but through the repetition of choices over time. Each choice, each action, each response either reinforces your character or erodes it. When people see someone whose words, actions, and values align consistently over years, respect becomes automatic. People no longer question them. People naturally follow them. People unconsciously trust them. So here's the final takeaway. Stop trying to impress. Stop chasing recognition. Stop demanding respect. Instead, focus on becoming the kind of person whose actions are consistent, whose values are unwavering, and whose presence inspires trust. Treat everyone with integrity, honor your commitments, handle pressure with grace, admit mistakes without excuses, and empower those around you. Do this consistently, and respect will no longer be something you hope for. It will become something that follows you everywhere, silently but powerfully, transforming the way the world responds to you. Because respect is not given, respect is earned, and it is earned through patterns, patience, and unwavering character. This is the golden rule, the rule that changes everything.